Nigerians, in whichever sphere they find themselves, have been known to prove their mettle. In fact, proven statistics have shown that Nigerian doctors are some of the very best that the world can boast of. They are scattered all over the country. But coming on the home front here, we also have people, men and women, who are doing great things. They are doing great exploits in the medical field. Today on the program Executive Discourse, which will welcome you to on the network service of the NTA, I have with me a guest. Yes, somebody in the medical profession, but incidentally, the very first female urologist that Nigeria, a country of over 200 million people, has to boast of. She is my aburo, yeah, but you know what? For the purpose of our discourse today, please join me as I welcome Abimbola Ayodeji Abolarinwa, the very first female urologist in Nigeria. Hello, Bimbo.
Hello, Auntie Lolade. Before the discourse.
We're on national television.
Okay. Later. We'll continue later. Okay.
Very good. Well, you have seen her, that's her for you, because she can really be up to some tricks. But, getting into the nitty-gritty of it, Bimbo, for our viewers, for the sake of our viewers and for the purpose of this discourse, I would want you to tell us what your early years were, where you were born, where you grew, and, up until this point that you have found yourself. Tell us about you.
I was born in the United Kingdom, in London to be specific, because my parents were working there. My dad was training as a surgeon, and my mom was also in law school. She was in University of Manchester. So I was born there. And I can't remember much about our stay in the UK because I was quite small. But maybe when I was 4 years old, my dad had finished his residency training program as a surgeon. He was also a Nigerian Air Force officer. So he had to come back to Nigeria to resume. And then he came back with us and left my mom behind to finish up her degree in law. So we were kept with my grandmom in Lagos. She lived at Iponri, and we attended the Kekotun Memorial Nursery and Primary School. So I did my nursery 1 and 2 in Lagos here at Surulere. Eric Mo is where Kekotun is. My older sister too did her nursery 2 and primary 1. And then my dad was posted to Kaduna. So he went back to Kaduna, got the place ready for us. Mommy was rounding up her studies in the UK. And then when she came back, we all moved back to Kaduna. And my childhood was very interesting. I feel sorry for children now because they don't really, they're all locked up, they don't play outside. The security situation in the country warrants that you are a bit more restrictive on the movement of your children. We used to walk to school, we played. There were no fences in the Air Force base in Kaduna. So I could actually go to the neighbor's house to pluck mangoes from the tree. I climbed mango trees a lot, guava trees. Sometimes the parents of the neighbor's parents would actually bring me down and drag me home to hand over to my parents. The next day, I'm back on the tree. We had farms. We had a farm at the back of our house where we grew our own groundnuts and corn and okra. The land in the north is very fertile. All the insecurity that we see now was not there then. We also lived in the Air Force base. The military have people from all tribes in the country. So it's not a case of because you're in the north, you are only exposed to northerners. No. We had people from Akwa Ibom. We had Ibibio people. My best friend was an Ibibio girl. He's an Ibibio girl, actually. We had the Northerners, and then when you say Northerners, you have people that are Margi from Borno State, you have the Fulani friends, you have so many, you have the, the friends from Jos, So when people say Hausa, no, Nigeria is rich. So many people, and then as you're going from house to house, eating their food and everything. So I was spoiled for choice. We were happy, nobody was afraid. Like I said, there were no fences. And then we all walk to school together. We all walk back home together. Sometimes I stop by in the hospital with my older sister and stay with my dad and play in the hospital and the theater. So medicine was kind of demystified to us right from time. We looked at his medical books, even though the pictures looked scary to others, it was normal to us. And we also saw the benefits of being a good doctor, because a lot of grateful patients would send gifts to him.
Wow.
He always refused money, but they always found a way to give him something. So we're always the recipients. The first bicycle I had was given by a patient.
Wow.
I know then when you're riding chopper bicycle or, I think it was chopper, and there was another one, I can't even remember the brand, but they didn't buy for us. We got it as gifts anyway. So those were our early years. A lot of love, lots of friends, a lot of freedom. And we enjoyed nature, And secondary school was in Jos, the first girls' military school, Jos. It was the first girls' military school, or the only in the country as at that time. The training and the direction and the purpose of the school was to train ladies to join the military.
Okay.
And a lot of military officers' children, not just in the Air Force, but also from the Army and from the Navy. And then also civilian children were also there. So most of us from the primary school ended up in the secondary school. So it was like a continuation of primary school. And these are people you're used to, you're familiar with and all. And the training was rigorous, but we enjoyed it. You see, there's nothing a child cannot learn or do. We were actually taught how to handle weapons. We were trained to join the military, but unfortunately there was no Nigerian Defense Academy for girls then. So if you needed to join the military, you had to go in either as a non-commissioned officer, or you go to the university, study a degree and come in as short service. But by the time most of us went to the universities and studied, we didn't return back. Even though we are civilians, as they put it in the military, the training, the discipline, the soft skills that we learned when we were in school has actually helped most of us. I have barely seen any ex-girl, we call ourselves ex-girls, from Air Force Girls Military School, just that is a pushover or a layabout. They are all doing well in their different fields of endeavor. We had some who went back into the military, and we're happy to say that there's now a Nigerian Defense Academy for girls, so women can actually join the military directly as regular officers. And after that, I got admission to the University of Ibadan. I wanted to read medicine, it was the easiest thing for me to do. As much as
because you were born into medicine.
Yes, and I was used to it. And then I had so many fantasies, Initially, I wanted to be a fashion designer. I wanted to be a singer. Not that I had a nice voice anyway. But, children dream. We should allow our children to dream. You never know which one would work. And then I wanted to be a doctor later. Then all the time I wanted to be an engineer. Then I wanted to be a doctor. And eventually, I filled the JAMB form and I wrote medicine. But I didn't get admission into medicine. Because of my choice of university. My cutoff was just below the cutoff for medicine, even though all my papers were complete. So I got admission for physiology. And I just had this idea of, whatever your hands find to do, do it well. Even if I can't get medicine, let me finish physiology with a first class, and then probably go to the US and do medicine, because you are required to have a first degree in the US. So I focused on physiology. I was even the class rep. By my 200 level, I was settling down for my second semester exams when I was told that my change of course to medicine had been approved.
Wow.
I was shocked, because all those that were aspiring to change course to medicine were always going to the medical classes. I didn't do that, because I was like, focus on your physiology and get a first class. I didn't know what to do. I was like, now I have gotten the medicine that I wanted, and I'm going to fail my Part 1 exams, because Part 1 exams were just about 6-7 months away. I was crying. My best friend's father, he's late now. He was former chief of air staff, Air Marshal in Sikak Edward. He gave me money for my first set of medical books. He was so happy. He was so happy that I finally got in medicine. And all, I ran back to school, and I was just looking. I didn't know what to do. And then a strike came. Now, industrial actions are not pleasant, but that strike lasted 8 months, and it gave me enough time to catch up to read.
Wow.
And I was able to pass my Part 1 exams, and then move over to UCH. And then I finished my clinical rotations, Part 2, Part 3, Part 4. I never had a receipt. I never filled any in-course assessment. And then I graduated on my first sitting in 2004. Now, the industrial action stretched the course. From 6 years, we did medicine 8.5 years.
Wow.
But I ended up being a doctor. So what I wanted, I eventually got. And went back to the Nigerian Air Force and did my internship. After that, I did my youth service in Kaduna in the 44 Nigerian Army Reference Hospital. The military was easy for me to go back to because I was used to living the regimented life, life of order, and it was home to me, particularly the Air Force. And that's basically what happened. Of course, after med school, you start wondering, what are you going to specialize in? I always wanted to be a surgeon. When I finally decided to do medicine, not fashion designing and all. I mean, actually, there was a stint in medical school. I love baking. My mom's younger sister is a caterer. Okay. So we used to bake when we were small. I picked up the skills. My sister was not interested, except when you finish baking,
She's interested in the consumption.
Yes. She's a dentist, actually. So when I got to med school, I started baking cakes, and then I became so popular, and I was actually selling them. Wow. I had to stop in my 5th year because I realized I did not come into school for BSc catering. Because the baking cakes and doing small chops, samosa, all these ones, I was doing them in school. I had an oven in school.
Wow.
And I had colleagues that were willing to join me, and we all bake together and we eat together anyway. Especially for maybe periods like Valentine's and Christmas when my orders increase and all. So I did that. So when I eventually had to choose what I wanted to do, I wanted to be an orthopedic surgeon.
Okay.
Everybody wondered, why did you even want to do surgery? Quite a number of people discouraged me. Ibadan is a very traditional environment, society. So a woman shouldn't really consider surgery because of the plans of marriage and childbearing and all, and the commitment to family. But surgery was attractive to me. It was more of, structure and function. The physicians are very deep. They have to know so much. The gynecologists are always extremely tense because labor, delivery, CS, emergencies. The pathologists, I love pathology, but I realized that the only part of pathology was dissecting the dead body for postmortem. When it comes to the microscopes and all, I didn't like it. Okay. So I forgot about pathology. And I just realized that I should just go back to surgery. Pediatrics, I couldn't bear the sight of sick children. I would nearly kill myself to get them well. If a child dies, I will cry more than the parents.
Wow.
During house job, a particular parent was actually consoling me. I cried more. So I just knew that it's not for me. It
wasn't for you.
And surgery was it. Orthopedic surgery. To me, it was just, very physical. The bone is broken, straighten it out, repair it. And then I started my residency. I wrote my primaries. I passed. I was actually pregnant for my son when I went to write it. I gave birth 2 days after. I went to Ibadan with 9 months pregnancy to write the exams. And in the same exam, my colleague, who is a cardiothoracic surgeon, who is also the first, she had a fracture. She was with crutches. So everybody, why are you all desperate to be surgeons? You are 9 months pregnant, you have a broken leg.
Yes.
But we just had to do it. There's something about not missing your timing. There was this push for me to write my exams then. My daughter was already 1+. I was pregnant with my son. And then I went to write it. I passed. I gave birth 2 days after. And then I worked for a while as a medical officer in the Baptist Medical Center of Banikoro until I was able to get a slot for my residency training in the Lagos State University Teaching Hospital. And that's where I did my residency. Initially, at the beginning of your surgery training, you rotate through all the specialties so that you have some skills in every subspecialty in surgery. Okay. And then when you write your exams, which we call the Part 1 exams, once you pass, you will now move to your specialty that you're interested in. And then it's based on your interest, availability of slots, and the willingness of the trainers to receive you, to train you. So it's not a case of, I want to do this. Are you fit for it based on the assessment? Is there availability of slots? What if the place is filled up? So you may go to the closest one available. But while I was doing my rotations, I lost interest in orthopedics.
Why?
I don't know how it happened. I have checked, because if you even look at my yearbook, I wrote orthopedic surgery. A lot of people wrote fancy things, and of course, some of them are not even in clinical medicine. Wow. But I was sure I wanted to be a surgeon, and I was so sure it was orthopedics. Because I loved orthopedics right from when I was in school. I hated urology. I avoided urology clinics as much as possible.
Wow.
But you need to sign up for some procedures and some, your presence in clinics, so I had to go. I just felt there were so many old men.
Okay, in urology.
In urology. Oh, so I didn't like it, and there was so much tension in urology, so I just said, no, this is not for me. Orthopedics, all the orthopedic surgeons in UCH were very happy people. You know, we had one that played music.
Happy mending bones.
No, they were just happy. Maybe their nature, you know. Professor Longe used to play music in theater. You know, just douse the tension. So I wanted orthopedic surgery. And I did my rotations and I lost interest. I don't know what happened. I was confused myself.
Just like that.
Just like that. Nothing happened in orthopedics to suggest to me that, okay, this is where you shouldn't be. So I didn't know what to do. So I said, okay, I will probably do general surgery, which is broad-based and all. And my dad is a general surgeon. But when I did urology rotation, I just got hooked. And I was like, is this not the same urology I didn't like?
You detested.
It was so interesting. My current head of unit then, he was Dr. Ikoro, then he's Professor Ikoro now. The way he handled urology, he made it look so easy. You know, and there were so many little procedures you could do. You could learn fast as a registrar. You didn't have to wait to become a specialist registrar.
Okay.
You know, it cut across medicine and surgery. And the old men that looked scary then didn't look scary again. Maybe because I had grown. And I just loved it. And then Professor Esho was there. He just felt, get your hands busy. He won't train you for long. You do one, you know, see one, assist one, and then the third procedure, you do it yourself.
Wow.
While he's watching you. And he was the HOD then. And I just realized that the urologists were just happy people, like the way gynecologists are usually happy. You know those gynecologists, delivery and all, they're always happy. I don't know why they're always happy. So I was like, the urologists here are happy. What's going on? So I said, okay, since I've switched off from orthopedics, this looks like a viable option. But I didn't say anything until I passed my part 1. I wanted to be sure that I got the minimum requirements needed to do urology. And I passed both my National Postgraduate Medical College and the West African College of Surgery exams. And the HOD pleasantly took me in to urology. He is a urologist also, Professor Esho. So I started my training in urology. And I was happy. I'm actually happy to go to work till date.
Yeah, you're such a happy urologist, I must
happy.
say.
I don't feel tense. Yes, the work could get to you, but that I'm not happy with the specialty, no.
Now, at the time you were going into urology, I mean, it was something that you suddenly developed this interest and love for. Did you realize perhaps you were the first ever female in Nigeria to go into that field?
I didn't even know. But I just realized that everywhere I turn to, male registrars. Now, LASUT is very busy. So you don't even really have time to interact with people outside LASUT. So I knew I was the only one in LASUT, but I didn't think I was the only one in the country.
Wow.
But we have some courses we call update courses that are pre-requirements for you to write your part 2 exams, which is the exit exam that will make you qualify as a specialist. So they may choose maybe University of Jos Teaching Hospital or University of Port Harcourt Teaching Hospital, depending on where it's convenient for the examining body, either the West African College or the National. National usually chooses Lagos. Okay. So I was focusing more on the West Africa and West African College. So they chose Zaria, you know, Ahmadu Bello University Teaching Hospital in Shika. And I went and I was like, I'm the only lady. I'm the only lady here. Wow. You know, and there's so many people who are saying that there's one lady in Lagos. You know, the word went round. There's one lady in Lagos. I went for an endoscopy course when our International Society of Urologists came to Nigeria to a private hospital in Abuja where they have a lot of endoscopic setup. And then they did like a training course. So a lot of residents from urology heard about it and traveled to Abuja to have hands-on experience. You know, and I also traveled for that course. And I was the only lady. Wow. So that was when it occurred to me that I'm practically the only one in the country. Of course, I became a bit more self-conscious, but the only thing I told myself is that just behave like a resident. You don't need to look at your gender. And that was the approach of my trainers in LASUT, particularly Professor Esho. Okay. He said there's no woman or man in surgery. Yeah. In fact, in surgery, they call everybody men. So my current HOD now calls me Mr. Abolarinwa. And I'll say, yes, Mr. He shouts it. So other people have learned to call me Mr. Abolarinwa. Because you really don't want to look at the gender. You don't want to look at anything like weakness and all. And then because you are now a lady in a male-dominated field, surgery basically is male-dominated, regardless of the specialty. Then now you are not the only one in urology. You can't afford to start throwing tantrums or making silly excuses. So sometimes you may have to bend over. You may have to work twice as hard than your regular counterparts. Yes. You may have to struggle more to get procedures because you have a minimum number of procedures that you should do on your own before you qualify for exams. Because once you pass, you're on your own. So you can't, you know, send out a half-baked urologist into the market. And it's not safe. So, and then it also puts a lot of questions on the credibility of the examining bodies. So those are some of the things I had to work harder. You know, LASUT is busy, it's a major training center. So sometimes you may have up to 6 senior registrars in your unit and 6 of you are all struggling to get procedures. So I had to be aggressive. And or if they say they are going to do a prostatectomy, you would have read all the different ways of prostatectomy overnight. And when the consultant is talking about it and you're answering the questions, oh, this one is your, okay, scrub and join me. So the hustle was real and everything. And I'm happy I did, but like I said, I was happy. And every day I would see something in urology, I was like, ooh, particularly the cosmetic surgery aspect of it. It kind of put in a lot of plastic surgery into it. So I was also enjoying a bit of plastic surgery, reconstruction of the penis and the scrotum, particularly in injuries or children that are born with congenital anomalies where you have to restructure everything back. It was so interesting. You know, you see somebody born with an abnormality of the penis, maybe it's bent like this and then you have to straighten it out. I know the parents are happy, particularly the mothers, you know, and all. And then those little children, you know, they are leaving the world and they are jumping on you. Some of them jump on my back in clinic. It's just a happy place. The old men are also happy and a lot of them are happy to see a lady, you know. Oh, yeah, urology. Yes, yeah, urology, you know. I didn't really get any, you know, what are you doing here kind of thing. No, the nurses were very wonderful. In fact, they were my greatest fans. And I always say something, when you get to a new hospital, one of the first set of people you make your friends are the nurses. Because they are there most of the time. They tend to guide you. They know the culture of the place, so they put you through. Just bring them close. So they were happy. They were always rooting for me. Make sure you pass. Make sure, you know. And when I passed, you need to have seen the congratulations I got from them. So I'm happy I'm still in LASUT because they are like family, you know. I can't walk 10 meters without greeting about 4 or 5 nurses and all, whenever they even do the association meetings. I should be with them and join them too. So, you know, it's really the healthcare family is one. So many people were encouraging me beyond the doctors and all. I didn't get any resistance. I want to say that. And that's why I said I was happy. I didn't have to work against landmines, like what people say. No, I didn't have that problem. So the practice has been interesting. A lot of patients end up becoming friends. You know, some of them like family. We don't win all the time. We lose some, and it's very painful. I particularly don't like being told that my patient is dead, even if I know that it's a terminal case. A lot of times my residents are even a bit afraid to tell me the patient is dead. You know, and I also say handle the death properly. Speak with the relatives. Console them. Make things easy. Get the death certificate out early. Don't allow the processes of the hospital to frustrate them when they've already lost somebody. Of course, we have aggrieved patients also. Sometimes you may also get some cases that may nearly become medical legal. These are part of the risk of the profession. Sometimes we're exposed to diseases. Well, I would say we signed up for it, but at the same time, we also owe ourselves a duty of care to protect ourselves and to protect our colleagues. It's been interesting, not too challenging. Of course, I've had some male patients that are maybe downright rude. But one thing I do is that as much as I get close to my patients, I don't allow over-familiarity to come into it, particularly with the male patients. I've had some approaches from some male patients, and I told them, I said, you only like me because I'm the solution to your problem now. Don't worry, when you recover, you realize that I'm not tall and light-skinned, you know, and I don't fit your specs. You know, don't worry, I'm just a parrot. Just manage me for now and get well. Then just run along and just go back to your usual old ways, you know. So I tend to manage that very well. I have zero tolerance for men being abusive to any of our female staff, regardless of whether they are nurses or female interns or female residents that are rotating through our unit from either obstetrics and gynecology, family medicine, or even from within surgery. So they have learned over time that with Dr. Abolarinwa, she may be pleasant, but she's also very strict. And they talk among themselves, so the word goes round. You know, so I give them full attention and all, but we've had some close shaves and we manage it as they come. And we don't extend the bad experience of this patient to the next. I tend to individualize everybody's benefits and crime. You know, so if you offend me as a patient, maybe you cross the line, maybe you try to touch me, or you think that because I'm a urologist that I'm open to being patronized, I will deal with that issue on the spot. It doesn't mean that I will extend that animosity to the next patient. No.
So it's safe actually to say that you broke the glass ceiling in the area of urology as, you know, a specialization. How do you think this has impacted other girls coming into urology?
Well, I think it's made it a bit easier. A lot of people were reluctant initially because they felt urology have more male patients. You know, urology is the surgical management of diseases of the urinary system, that's in male and female, but also the sexual system, reproductive system in men. So that involves the prostate, diseases of the penis, diseases of the scrotum, things like erectile dysfunction, premature ejaculation, male infertility. So these are aspects of a man's sexuality that are not open to the public. A lot of men will never even tell you that they are not feeling fine. Not to talk of telling them about their sexuality, that they have a problem with their sexuality. It makes them feel less of a man or feel vulnerable to insults or abuse, because there's a lot of focus on a man performing sexually, and that he must bring that to the table in every relationship. So it's difficult for him to admit that he has a problem. So when you now say you're a female, you want to go into that aspect, it's like, what are you looking for there? And then a lot of people, yes, it's a no-go area, and a lot of people sexualize things in Nigeria. Every small thing, sexualize it. No. You are doing urology, what are you looking for there? You know, no. This is medicine. You know, after all, female patients are seen by male gynecologists. And, you know, and they are very good ones. So I don't know why people sexualize things. And, you know, once a woman wants to do something, a lot of people start focusing on it and start dissecting it and start trying to understand it. But when you are competent, all those ones disappear. You know, all those criticisms, they bow in the presence of, you know, competence. So even if they have that initial restraint, they tend to warm up to you when they see that you know what you are doing and you're able to communicate to them and bring out those things from, even when they don't even want to tell you. By the time you start asking some direct questions, oh, this lady seems to know these things, and then they start trying to confide in you, and then you're able to get to the root of their problem. So when other ladies saw it was easier for me, then some other people showed interest. 3 years after I qualified, another lady from Lut qualified. And then after that, 2 ladies from Benin.
Wow.
And then 1 from Ibadan. We currently have 2 in training, another lady in Benin and a northern lady in Abuja.
Wow.
And there are other people showing interest. So we are beginning to become a bigger family. I'm close to all of them, very close to all of them. We relate, we talk, you know, 2 are out of the country training. Okay, 1 more has joined. So when they gain some extra skills in maybe minimal access urology, they'll come back to Nigeria. And hopefully, you know, we're trying to encourage them to come back. So these are the ways I'm trying to make it easier for the ladies that want to show interest, because if you make it feel as if it's unattainable, it's difficult, this over a click. No, it's open, anybody can be anything. There's no restraint, there's no restriction. If you are ready, come, let's tell you the reality. I don't paint it glossy for them. I tell them the challenges I had and all, but at the same time, it's doable and it's enjoyable.
You're a mother to 2 wonderful children, and I keep asking myself this question. You spend so much of your time in the hospital. It's either you're attending to patients, you're in surgery, or even the little time you have, you're a teacher. And I wonder, how much time do you have for these kids? How are you able to manage to marry the 2 together as a mother and a urologist?
I didn't do it alone. You see, when people say, oh, you're successful, you can multitask and everybody is healing you, and I keep on saying that there's nobody that is an island. No success is in isolation. I had a lot of help. And then another aspect is that God gave me wonderful children. They're so strong, they hardly fell ill. The usual challenges that people have with growing children, oh, they're always in hospital, and I never had that problem. In fact, I call them local chickens. There's nothing you throw at them. Oh, they're okay, they eat anything. They're very happy, ordinary children. So God gave me specific children knowing the kind of challenges I was going to face. I had easy children, and I'm grateful to God for them. And I remember when we were growing up too, my dad was always busy. He was always in theater. He's a surgeon too. But we would always join him up at the hospital, hang around, and also it's kind of like a repetition of history. Because a lot of times when I was doing my residency, they would bring the kids over, we'll do homework together in the call room. They were happy to go out. I know children are they're like plasticine. You know, there's nothing they cannot learn, there's no situation they can't adjust to. As long as they're surrounded by love, and then the little time you have, make it quality. So it's not when you come home, you're irritable to them and you say you're tired, No, that little time you have should be quality, quality time spent with them. So maximize the little time you have with them. They could also help by bringing them over to work. Those are the little tricks I tell my other female residents that are training. Allow your children come to the hospital. Hospital doesn't kill anybody. Come to the hospital. Let them see you at your place of work. They tend to have a deeper understanding of your career. I remember when my children, oh, you're going to your work again. They don't say it crying, oh, bye, you're going to your work, you know. And also, it became part of life for them. And then, of course, grandma was around. They had a very reliable nanny who is still with me, 13 years now.
Wow.
And oh, she's an accountant now.
Wow.
So we still live together. So they were surrounded by love. My dad also was available. So it's not as if I did it alone. No. There is no way you will do surgery that you're not going to need some form of family and social support. And that's why you must have your village, which you will carefully select. Village, I mean, the people you will bring into your inner circle to be able to handle your children and handle your household affairs in a way that you would want. It may not be perfect, but at least it will be manageable enough until when you are able to come back and take over. And then it's not as if I've taken over fully. It's not as if now that I'm a consultant, I have all the time in the world. No, I'm now responsible. Anything the resident doctors do under my training, I bear responsibility. So beyond doing my own job, I also have to check their own. So it's not as if I'm so free like that, but at least my time is more manageable. I'm used to it, so I'm able to, handle it better. The children are older now, so they are not as dependent as they were before. And we're generally making more progress. So those are the things I actually tell the other female residents that these are the realities. These are the things that nobody will tell you. These are the things that are not in the textbooks and all. But I didn't do it alone. I will not say I did it alone. I even had friends. Even when we were doing residency training, the other female residents who are consultants now in pediatric surgery, general surgery, we helped to handle their children. If they are having an emergency surgery and the daughter or the baby is with them, the rest of us that don't have any emergency, hold the baby, feed the baby, bath the baby in the hospital. And when the mother is through, oh yeah, take your baby, breastfeed, And then we found a network even amongst ourselves. So you need help. There is no pride in I did it alone. No. Share this glory. I didn't get to be a urological surgeon without help. I had all the help I had.
You're in a field of endeavor that can be emotionally challenging at times. I mean, you talked about pediatric cases, and then some patients also that when you lose them, you feel particularly bad. How do you hold it all together? Because I've seen you lose patients, and somehow, maybe on the outside, you've kept it together. You might be breaking up on the inside, but you've always kept it together. How do you do that?
We should tell ourselves the truth. You can't win all, and then this is life. None of us is living here alive anyway. But it's unfortunate when a patient dies from sickness. It's painful, particularly when you look at a patient and the spirit is strong, but the body is failing him. You see some patients are struggling to stay alive. There's so much to do, and then they just succumb. It's painful, but you can't break down totally. You may have to absorb the pain because of the relatives, because you have to take decisions. You have to take charge. You have to be logical. Maybe after they've gone. Maybe when you get back to your home and to your space, you may cry, you may ponder, you may begin to think, you may begin to internalize the pain. And these are one of the reasons why we say healthcare workers need a lot of psychological support. We've had cases where some of our colleagues have committed suicide. And it is usually as an accumulation of this type of terrible life issues where you have to start rethinking and wondering, what is this life? But at the same time, I'm also happy that I still have some empathy. Sometimes you get so used to these deaths and all these negative things that you lose your empathy. The moment you lose your empathy, you're failed as a doctor. You should have some empathy. But that empathy needs to be guarded so that you don't internalize pain and explode. So you have to find that fine balance. Sometimes you may have to even take a break from the medicine and maybe engage in your hobbies to see the brighter side of life. At the same time, picking out the lessons from those patients. A lot of patients teach us so much. Beyond the medical skills and the decisions that you could do better that they teach you. Some of them, the way they are able to look sickness in the eye, look death in the eye and bear it. You look at them and you wonder, who is the teacher here? Who helped who here? Did I help this patient who was going to die anyway? Or did I gain more from the way he approached his challenge with faith and confidence? So it's, I go out of my way to pick out the lessons and pick out something from the patients. I remember a lot of my patients. I remember all the patients that have died in my care, every single one by name. Wow. I do not forget them. And sometimes some things happen and I'll just smile and say, oh, he would have approached it this way. Oh, he would have laughed. I remember one that gave me a pack of biros because I was always misplacing biros. And he was always telling me that I put it in my hair, you know. And he gave me a pack and said, don't steal the nurse's biros any longer. I remember one that told me when he dies, I should take his walking stick.
Wow.
The wife gave me and I started crying. I actually burst. I was a consultant then.
Wow.
And she said, okay, she's sorry, she won't give me. I said, okay, keep it for me. Because I couldn't bear it. But this was a man that knew he was going to die. And he remained cheerful till the end. And was even offering me his walking stick. Because I was just complaining, why are you using it? He said, it's a status symbol. So I remember these things. And I'm like, these are human beings who had lives, wives, children, relatives. And they're out of the picture. And they have adjusted, but I still remember them. I wish I don't have to carry this burden, but I try to pick the good parts of it, and then it reminds me that life is fickle, you know. What pains me more is when our colleagues succumb to sickness, because you die from what you know, and you can't do anything about it. So it reminds us also of our own mortality, and I think that's just basically it. But to find that fine balance, get your mind busy with other things outside medicine, outside clinical work. Don't soak yourself up so much in the hospital and forget that there's a bigger life outside. And we are lucky to see that part, but you shouldn't let it get to you. I think that's how I find a balance. I have so many other things I do. I have so much energy, and it's just that medicine has taken over me. It's like a possessive lover. It takes your time, it takes your space, it takes your mental capacity. Even when you get home, your phone is ringing from patients. So I go out of my way, I knit, I bake, I cook. It keeps me balanced.
Yeah, and so talking about how you relax, what is your major form of relaxation?
Sleep. Sleep. Sleep is expensive in medicine, so I sleep. Sleep. Even if an airplane lands in this house, I'm sleeping.
Wow.
I use that to catch up, because there are some days I may not sleep for maybe 48, 72 hours at a stretch. So when I see sleep, I grab it. Before you see it again, it may take a long while. So sleep. And your body will actually will give in to that sleep because you're exhausted. So sleep. I don't really watch TV. I'm not a TV person. It's not one of my temptations. I love reading comics, novels, but I've not really had time to commit to reading a full book. I wish I could go back to that. Maybe I'll create more time for that. You should create time for what you love. So that's a bad excuse on my part. I love experimenting in the kitchen, cooking.
Yes. You love to torment people. You love to torture people with your cooking skills. And in fact, when we arrived here today, we actually met you in the kitchen. What is it with you and cooking?
I told you my mom's younger sister is a caterer.
Yes, a caterer.
And I learned baking early. And then, you see, no matter how angry you are in Nigeria, because a lot of people are angry now, when you bring food, you unite. You unite. Regardless of where you're from or what religion you are. Have you seen them on social media when APC fans are fighting PDP fans? But whenever I post food, everybody unites. So you see, food is non-partisan. So
and that's why you enjoy it.
Yeah. So I love cooking, and I have a palate for things that are way outside Yoruba land. Like I told you, I grew up in the barracks with so many people. So I eat here, eat there, eat here, eat there. My mom didn't know because she knew. Nobody should tell her. Nobody should tell her.
Are you sure I won't tell her?
Well, it's too late. She can't do anything about it now. So I learned how to eat all sorts of things. All sorts of things. So I cook them. And I just found a new interesting part of cooking. Food photography and all that. I was using my phone, taking pictures, putting it on it. And I just saw everybody's reaction. I said, oh, you all like food. So I keep taking pictures, and I give them the e-copy while I eat the hard copy.
The hard copy.
And so I love cooking. It's stressful. I'm not someone that if you come to my house, you will see ready-made 3-course meal all the time. But when I'm in the mood, I will do it and then I just shove it down everybody's throat in the house. I might hardly eat it. And it just makes me happy. And I want my children to, if they're not going to live around the country, then experience food. One of the ways you can actually conquer the division between cultures is by their food. Yes. And if you don't know the language, you've never lived in their place to know their ways. If you know their food and appreciate it, you've scored a point. So I'm actually a very, very proud Nigerian. I've lived in so many places. I've related with so many people. I have so many friends. I eat anything, and everything. So and then I cook them, which gives me another extra point.
Yes.
And all. So it's a nice. I like the response. So I'm going fully into food photography.
Wow.
My daughter is doing photography in school as her what do they call these subjects now? They are now doing them. Vocational subjects. Okay. She has a good camera. I got some props for food photography, and we're going to start practicing very soon. Wow. You know, so you said I was tormenting people on social media. I'm going to actually make it worse, because now I've even bought props for food photography. So I will even decorate the.
You see, even my cameramen are laughing.
I will decorate the place, and so that when they are seeing it, like, oh, you see all that fight, PDP, APC, Muslim, Christian, you know, I'm fasting, I'm not fasting. Just take the picture. You know, just look at it and be happy.
Just look at the pictures of the food.
Yes, and be happy. And then when you see me in real life, you won't even smell
You see what
Maggie
I
on
keep
me.
talking about, that she loves to torment people sometimes.
So they called me food terrorist, but
I didn't call her that. You heard her yourself. It's good.
But food business is good, you know. It has an elastic demand. Regardless of how broke you are, you must eat. So
yes, you must.
If I'm not going to farm, I'm not going to sell food, I'm not going to be a caterer, then I can cook and give the pictures. Yes, my hobby has now been exported to everybody. Fantastic. We need to package our Nigerian food better, present it better, so that it's more attractive. Our cuisine is standard, and it's not really been accepted internationally because of the way we present it. So presentation counts without losing that cultural touch. I don't like it when they over Oyibonize our food. You know, no, call it akara. It is akara. Put it, let everyone know it's akara, not that it's been mashed in a funny way, you know. So those are the things, you know, we want to do. By the time we start doing that and you see more cookery books come out with better pictures, better presentation, better plating, better lighting, everything, people will appreciate our food better.
People will appreciate our food better. Does Bimbo listen to music? Does she dance? And if she does, what kind of music gets her in the mood?
I listen to music, anything. I don't particularly like blues. It's too slow. And then it's so emotions and love and love. No. I used to like hard rock and rock when I was small. You know, secondary school. And I've grown up now. I don't like R&B, too much American English. Gospel music, some of them, not all. So I think the music speaks for itself. You know, but I think I still like soft rock, Aerosmith,
Aerosmith,
a bit of Nirvana, not the very wild ones, and Guns N' Roses and also. I like some of that. I love Adi Okin. I put on repeat in my car. Kwamon, you don't know this song. It's lovely. You know, so it's always on repeat. You know, Kwamon is just it, and all. I like Nigerian music is becoming wonderful now. I like Mehdi. I like what's the name of that one? You know, funny, I don't even know their names, but I like when I hear the song repeat on radio. Then it just enter my subconscious. Then I'll download it, and then I'll start playing it. And then when I now see the name, okay, is this one that sang it? Okay, you know, and my children laugh at me. I'm getting old, so. And so I listen to music, but dance, it's like I have two left feet. You know, I don't know. I've been seeing them on TV as if I can do it. When I get up, I can't do it. So it's not magic. So my one is to listen and nod my head.
Just to listen and nod.
You know, some people just wriggle like plaster scene. So whenever they're doing mother's dance during the children's friend's birthday party, I say, you don't have mother in this one, no. So that's when I say, I'm tired from work. I've been working all weekend. They say, Mommy, you cannot dance.
It's just an excuse, Mommy,
cannot
you
dance.
can't dance.
You don't expose me. You know. So I can't dance.
Okay.
I just try. It's not easy. You know, what are those people that dance there? The Lord has done it for them. I can't do it.
Okay, you can't dance to save your life. What determines your dress sense?
Comfort. Comfort. I hardly wear heels because I walk around a lot. So it's better I wear maybe flats that are padded, and if you're standing for hours in surgery, you tend to get more practical. So when I see people wear those stilettos, I'm already feeling pain in my ankles on their behalf.
On their behalf?
Yes, on their behalf. So I usually wear more flats. Comfort is actually what determines what I wear. And then, of course, they say a lady must always be able to endure pain in heels. So I have some heels that I wear because there are some outfits that you must wear heels with. So yes, you should show that you're reigning, you're championing with heels. You're a lady. So I have to choose being a lady, but I'm practical. I get the platforms. The heels shouldn't be more than 2.5 inches. There are some limits and all.
Yeah.
So comfort. And then, of course, I like colors like brown,
Because
black,
I was going to come to the colors.
brown, black, navy, dark colors. You notice that everywhere here is brownish. I try to put some orange so that they, because my children like red, yellow, and I just like, what's that? MTN and Airtel. Why? But eventually, I started liking red. I love red now. Some things I have are red, but basically brown, black. Put a bit of color so that I don't look too boring. So yeah, colors, apart from comfort, then the color. And then some certain styles, of course, you should understand your body structure. So you wear what will enhance, your beauty and your shape while hiding the others, because it's not easy to do sit-ups and be jogging. So just get clothes that will just make you look reasonable. Because I cannot go and kill myself as long as the way they say it. I already work hard enough. And I exercise a little. And then look, I can't do six-pack or muscle. Just leave me alone, I'm more useful than the pretty body, so it's okay. So clothes that can tone down my faults and enhance the others. So
and enhance your good
but
points.
Comfort is the main thing.
Comfort.
Fashion. Most I don't even know what's in fashion. It is nearly out.
And considering the fact that you wanted at the time you thought you would go into fashion.
Children now. If you know what my children have told me what they want to do, I keep nodding, but I know what I will do. Yes, they must be guided.
Yes.
Because passion may not necessarily fulfill you until you have some form of stability in what is reasonable. So yes, I'm a doctor, I have passion for so many things, but I must have something to fund my passion before it stands on its own to become maybe a money-generating activity. So let's be realistic. Children are allowed to dream. Don't kill their dreams. It may be useful later. But they must be realistically guided, and that is the role of a parent. So I said so many things, fashion designing. I said some things would have been going out of fashion. They were, okay, they are wearing. I've been seeing it around. Didn't you know it was in fashion? Okay, So my case is something else.
It's of recent I'm learning about the sort of friendship Bimbo made within the base in Kaduna. Versatile relationships with so many northern girls, even Igbo girls that I never knew of. And she's so adventurous, getting into their diet, getting into their way of life. And I was asking her, how do you know all this? She said, Mommy, adventure. She's very adventurous.
I'd say my mom is a very determined and focused person and a very well-driven, goal-driven person. Anything she sets her mind to, she finishes. And she's a very creative person and thinks of new ideas on the spot in a certain situation.
A lot of the time, she's at work, obviously, but she does her very best to divide her time so that we get enough time as her children, and she also gets to spend time with her brother and her mother and her sister and stuff. But she's also doing her very best to look after us as her children, and I think that is very good because she doesn't have a lot of free time to herself, and whatever time she has, she usually uses it on us as her family. So really, she divides her time very well.
Quite objective and very meticulous and very purpose-driven. She's not your average kind of woman. If she gives you an appointment for 8 a.m., she will be there like 7:45, 7:30. She doesn't do African time, like most other babes people or ladies would do. She's very organized, very orderly. She's very driven by the medical sciences and research. And she's kind. She's been a very kind sister to me.
She's very kind, very good. She has a good heart. With anybody she meets, she's always good to them and all.
Bimbo, she is a people person. She tends to gather people to herself and takes care of her friends as she would her family. In that, she makes family out of friends.
Finally, on a home run for this discussion, you had already begun on an advisory note there, talking about how we need to guide and guard our children to take the right decisions. And looking at the heights that you have attained, the frontiers that you have conquered, being the very first female urologist in Nigeria, I want you to speak to the consciousness of Nigerians, Nigerian children, the girl child, even the boy child, on the possibilities in impossibility.
I would like to say that your desire, your ambition, or your reason, or would I say your intention for becoming somebody is not because you want the glory of the position. It's actually just because you want to achieve excellence. And so I don't want to separate the girl child and the boy child. Because when I was being raised, I was not raised as a girl child. I was raised as a child. So there's nothing you can do. Everything is available to you, even if your circumstances don't look so now. Just keep your hopes and your dreams alive. And then usually God will send somebody along the way, you know, to make things better for you. I always tell people that you don't have to go out of your way to get things done. Just continue consistently and excellently in what you have at hand. And after that, or while you are doing that, the opportunity for you to chase that bigger dream you have would come. I think that is what we should target. Just chase excellence in all you do. It may not be the ideal, but chase excellence. And then once you can chase excellence, those soft skills you learn in that, you know, Calvary period where you were not getting exactly what you wanted will actually help you out later. And then we should always have a heart of gratitude. You always should learn how to say thank you. It's a skill, it's something that is not so common these days. You should say thank you. Because a lot of people will do things for you, will make life easy for you, will help you. And these are people that are not related to you. They may not be family. They are people you will meet along, you know, your work in life. So you should learn how to say thank you, to appreciate what they have done. Because once you understand the value of what they've done to you, it helps you to put your own goals in better perspective, not to waste their efforts, and also to be able to pass on the good deeds. So we should learn gratitude in our ways, because it's when you are grateful, you actually would get more. The Yorubas will say that you are saying thank you now. It's not because of what was done now. It's for another favor to come. So we should learn gratitude. It's something that's quite lacking in a lot of young people these days. You know, there's a lot of entitlement mentality around. And like I said, I had so much help. Yes, a lot of them were my family members. Some were my colleagues. Some were outright strangers. But I didn't feel that because they're my family, they owe it as a duty of care to me. I was an adult, you know, when I took the decision to be a surgeon. But they still helped me. And they still help me. So, and I also help them back in return. So we need to be able to express gratitude so that you are surrounded by more, you know, fortune to be able to achieve your goals. So I think those are the basic things. Chase excellence. Your motive for trying to aspire to be great in life should not be about self-glorification, but to add value. And they never stop learning. I have not reached the point I want to get to. If you climb a mountain, are you going to remain there? You come down and then you climb another mountain. It's boring on one mountain. So there are other things to achieve. You may diversify from your main goal, but do other things. Vertical progression, horizontal progression. Just do something else. You know, keep moving. You know, life is so full with so many possibilities. You can't just sit down with one thing and just think that, oh, I've arrived here. Yes, gain excellence there, gain skill and gain, you know, a lot of experience. But, you know, do other things. Life is beautiful. If that thing fails you, what next? You know, be focused. Focus on something. Don't just spread out, be a jack of all trades and master of none. No, you know, and let's be realistic. We may have dreams, but we should be realistic. And I also appeal to parents to also guide their children well. Children need guidance. And even if we didn't get it, let's aspire to attain it somewhere and then pass on to our children so that, you know, they don't make the same mistakes we made. You know, that's why we are there. And that's why God honored us to be parents anyway and all. I think basically that is it.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Dr. Abimbola Abolarinwa. It's been a pleasure speaking with you and having you on the show today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, we've heard it from my guests. Attain excellence, and the sky is just the very beginning for you. Remember, those are the kind of individuals that we strive to bring to you week in, week out on Executive Discourse, which comes to you on the network service of the NTA. I remain Ololade Adeniji Adele. Let's meet again same time next week when we'll bring you another interesting individual whom we will be celebrating. Till then, stay blessed and bye-bye.